heart of where innovation, money, and power collide in Silicon Valley and beyond. This is Bloomberg Technology with Caroline Hyde and Ed Ludlow.
I'm Ed Ludlow in San Francisco. Caroline Hyde's off today. This is Bloomberg Technology. Coming up on the program, Nvidia takes a hit as the US plans more AI chip curbs for China. We'll discuss the potential impact on the semiconductor market. And we'll stick with artificial intelligence and go live to the Collision conference in Toronto for a sit-down conversation with Colin Murdoch of Google DeepMind. Plus, shares of electric air taxi company Joby surge after receiving regulatory approval to expand test flights here in the US. We have the exclusive conversation with the CEO later this hour. Let's get a quick check on the markets. There's not a huge amount of energy when it comes to the technology sector. We had all of the world's biggest central bank leaders on stage together. The main takeaway probably coming from Jay Powell, Federal Reserve Chair, downplaying the odds of a recession. Outperformance in the NASDAQ 100, up 0.4%. Very tech-heavy index. That's not universal, though. You look at the SOX, the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index. Many chip names lower. We're softer by around 0.4%. We will get into the details why with our Bloomberg Intelligence analyst. Yields kind of a little softer, 3.73% on the US 10-year. And we continue to track the story of Bitcoin Cash, the spin-off of Bitcoin. It was on a 9-day winning streak that now, as it stands, has snapped. We're off by 0.6%, but it was trading at its highest level since May of 2022. In terms of the single technology sector names we're looking at, we've got to talk about Joby. We are surging. 37% higher, start of prototype production at a facility here in California, the FAA certification to test fly those prototypes. We will speak to the CEO and find out what is going on. Talked about the chip sector. The Wall Street Journal reporting that the US is considering tightening curbs on the export of chips to China to increase lower power chips. This is in the context of AI, of course, of which Nvidia has been the real leader in this space. It is off by 0.9%. Other players were lower. AMD actually now higher, 0.5 percentage point. Let's find out what's going on. Let's understand the impact of this industry with Bloomberg Intelligence analyst Paula Pinkel. So that's the reporting. The US is going to tighten the restrictions to include sort of lower powered chips that Nvidia had moved to introduce to get around the original curbs. To your mind, what is the impact here?
Well, at this stage, I think the impact on Nvidia initially is roughly $5 billion on their top line, which could potentially go away. That is their exposure to China, which is 20% of their roughly $28 billion of revenues expected for 2023. But on a broader scale, look, AI chips, AI in itself is expected to grow roughly 20-fold by 2030. So there is so much demand for AI chips, for these GPU chips that NVIDIA makes, that in the long run, I believe NVIDIA will be able to make up any loss to the China market. I would say, however, that China is a significant market. It's huge. And so I think companies like NVIDIA and others, whether it's Micron or AMD has minimal exposure, but chip companies want exposure to China so that they can partake in that upside. And this latest expansion of these sanctions suggests that that may be shut down to the chip sector in the near term.
What's so interesting about this story is we're not talking about H100, the sort of cutting edge of GPU. What NVIDIA did was design chips that fell below the threshold to require a US license to export to China. But it brings into focus China as a consumer, right, Paula? Talk to us about broadly the semiconductor industry and how much US designed chip is going into products assembled there or into Chinese products?
Well, first of all, I mean, in terms of assembly, if you look at Apple, I mean, they're trying to expand to India with their assembly operations. But the reality is China is a significant market, as I said before. test and assembly. It's the leader in test and assembly. It does not make it has very low exposure to the advanced chips. But again, it's a growing market, and companies are sort of, in the middle of the U.S. and China's trade tensions because they want the exposure. They want to partake in that growth in the China market.
Another chip name here in the US that's confronting the China issue is Micron, reporting after the bell. What are you expecting from Micron and how they communicate their handling of this situation?
Yes. Well, Micron already announced their double-digit revenue hit by the most recent sanctions implemented by the U.S. government or by the China government. And so I expect that will not impact this particular quarter, but this quarter is going to be really bad just because you've had, sluggish demand in PCs and computers, and you have, really low and depressed memory chip prices. But many believe that this could be a trough for the company, and that's what the market hopes. I think we can't expect much from Micron for the remainder of 2024.
We're talking DRAM, we're talking NAND. Bloomberg Intelligence's Paula Penkel saying it's going to be bad after the bell. 24 hours time, tune in to Bloomberg Technology, and I guess we will find out. Paula Penkel of BI, thank you so much. Now, in today's Big Take, Bloomberg Big Take, China's tech sector has a new obsession, competing with the US and its titans like Google and Microsoft in the battle for dominance in artificial intelligence. Bloomberg's Jane Jiang has more from Hong Kong.
China's tech sector has a new obsession, competing with US giants in the global AI race. $15 billion, that's the amount China is expected to spend on AI this year. Big tech players in China, from Baidu, Alibaba, and SenseTime, have launched their own large language models in the span of just several months. Billionaire entrepreneurs Wang Xiaochuan, the founder of search engine Sogou, and Meituan co-founder Wang Huiwen are also pouring money into their startups to build China's own OpenAI. This new tech breakthrough could really speed up the emergence of new platforms to host a wave of revolutionary applications, just like what happened in the mobile internet era. From a chatbot to help manufacturers track consumption trends in the e-commerce industry, to text-to-image applications in the gaming industry to replace concept artists, as well as smart enterprise softwares to help analyze and transcribe meetings. Chinese tech tycoons have divided opinions on how much China has to catch up with the US in AI. One told me 3 years, another said a few months. But the gap may be getting smaller. The number of Chinese venture deals in AI reached more than 2/3 of the US total from the beginning of this year to mid-June, versus just about 50% in previous 2 years. Even with obstacles like censorship and US chip bans, Chinese companies are ready to take on the battle, and this is just the beginning.
Bloomberg's Jane Jiang with the Bloomberg Big Take. Thank you for that reporting. Sticking with artificial intelligence, another story we're watching, BlackRock joining the AI mania on the promise of productivity gains from the technology. The firm just introduced a bullish call on AI following the rally that's already driven the best ever first half of a year for the NASDAQ 100 index. It picked out semiconductor makers, companies with vast sets of data or high potential for automation as those most likely to benefit. Now, coming up, how Google DeepMind is trying to tackle humanity's biggest challenges, from climate change to curing cancer with AI. DeepMind's Senior Business Director Colin Murdoch will join us live from the Collision Conference happening out in Toronto. Now, keeping a quick check on shares of Google, or Alphabet, the parent company. The company cut jobs at mapping service Waze, the tech giant's latest move to trim its operations amid a drive for efficiency in Silicon Valley. Some positions focused on advertising at Waze, and they were eliminated after the unit began transitioning to using Google's advertising technology. A Google spokesperson told us on Tuesday. This is Bloomberg. Let's head over to Toronto, where the Tech and Media Collision Conference is underway. And surprise, surprise, AI is top of mind. John Ehrlichman on standby for us with a very special guest, a leader in the AI field. John.
Ed, great to be with you. Yes, AI is all the rage here in Toronto at the Collision Conference. And obviously, a lot of people are trying to figure out where we go from here. Now, for Google DeepMind, they have been thinking about the promise of AI for more than a decade. Colin Murdoch is the Chief Business Officer of Google DeepMind, and he's here at Collision and joins us now. Colin, thanks very much for joining us.
Hey, you're welcome. It's fantastic to be here. In fact, great to be in Canada and Toronto. My first time to Toronto.
Well, it's a huge gathering for a city like Toronto to have 36,000 people come here. And as Ed was alluding to, the focus is AI, AI, AI. When you come to an event like this, what's the message that you're trying to bring to the table?
Well, you know, I think it is all about AI. In the last 6 to 12 months, I think the real world has really woken up the potential for huge impact in the world. So the message I'm trying to get out there is that I think AI can have huge impact on some of society's biggest challenges.
So maybe explain that in a greater degree, because the DeepMind team is working on the research possibility. We teased before the break, whether it's dealing with climate change or cancer. How so?
That is a great example. So let's take climate change, a huge issue for society. One, I think AI can have a huge benefit. One example is we're using AI to predict weather, much more accurate weather predictions to help communities and companies around the world adapt to increasingly extreme weather and the devastating impact that can have. Another example actually is our digital society, the infrastructure that underpins that today. That requires huge numbers of computers and data centers to work. And left to their own devices, John, they get extremely hot, very hot. And so there's a large amount of energy that goes into keeping them cool. And we've been able to save 40% of energy using AI to keep those data centers up and running. That's a really fantastic example. I can talk about nuclear fusion as well if you want.
Go for it.
So nuclear fusion, the power that powers our stars, that's a greener and cleaner source of energy. And we're now using AI to control the plasma inside these nuclear fusion reactors to help bring forward the promise of nuclear fusion. If we can do that, then we've almost got a limitless source of energy, which I think will have a profound impact on society.
DeepMind is, for those who were curious about Google's curiosity on AI, we've known that for a long time, I mentioned, but going back to 2010. Right. But because Alphabet has become an AI-first company, sometimes there is some confusion about what Google DeepMind relationship is to the parent company. How does that work when you're focused on research? I mean, why is it beneficial to have this research arm of the company?
So our particular focus in Google DeepMind is staying at the forefront of AI research and then translating that into the products across the Alphabet group. And it's really valuable to gather together like-minded people so you can stay at the forefront. It's clustering these folks together that allows us to stay at the forefront of research and be able to develop this research which we can then put into products, like in climate change, but also put it into YouTube and the healthcare examples, or the health examples you mentioned earlier as well, is another great area.
So you would be in a good position to understand the opportunities and the risks of fast-changing technology. I think one of the biggest questions for your parent company or any big technology company betting on AI right now is, are we moving too quickly? What do you think about the speed of adoption in AI today, considering that DeepMind's been thinking about this for more than a decade?
Well, zooming out, you're absolutely right. It's incredibly important that we pioneer responsibly. We take careful steps as we're developing this technology. It's an extremely powerful technology, so we have to take exceptional care. So we've been thinking about this from the beginning, even from the beginning of DeepMind. We call it pioneering responsibly. We have to make sure that as we do our work, we're taking the right mitigation steps, we're getting the right reviews in, we're involving the right people every step of the way.
On the regulatory front, because that's another big issue, and it has been this week, we actually just spoke to the innovation minister here in Canada, who has legislation on the table to try to at least have some regulation around AI. And I wonder how you think about the right regulation or working with different governments on regulation.
This is also a topic we're spending a lot of time working on and thinking about across the globe, actually. We want to make sure we're sharing our insights so we can really help regulators think about the most effective regulation. And by that I mean regulation that I think allows innovation, allows for these amazing breakthroughs, but but importantly, also mitigates the potential risks. A really important topic.
So, do you feel then, because you're working on some very profound potential change for society, that sometimes we get caught up in the what ifs, because those seem pretty worrisome as well?
Yeah, it is really important to make sure we are addressing the risks and making sure we're building a positive future for everyone. And we have to remember, maybe to your point, that in the end, this is an incredibly powerful technology that I think is going to do an immense good for society, and that's got to be part of the debate as well. We can't lose that in the discussion. It's very important.
So you mentioned that the research you do can ultimately not just be shared with partners and governments, but can be implemented into the different products that the parent company is focused on right now. How does that work? What's the time for, when do you know that the research you've done is really worth passing on and sharing with the rest of the team, and ultimately might be something consumers or companies can see?
Well, let me give you an example in health, which I think is an incredible example. Proteins are the building blocks of life. They're what keeping you and I working right now. And we've developed some technology that understands proteins at a much deeper level, which has been used by a whole range of amazing companies and organizations. Like, I think there's actually a group here at the University of Toronto, in fact, that have been able to use this technology. We call it AlphaFold, to identify a target for a drug against liver cancer, one of the leading forms of liver cancer. That's an amazing example of how we've taken AI that was kind of being developed in the lab, and we've brought it and we've worked with a partner here in Toronto to do something which is really profoundly impactful.
And are you finding talent here as well for your team?
We have a base here in Toronto, actually, and in Montreal, and a lot of great team members here in Canada. And I love the country.
All right. Colin, thanks very much for your
You're
time
welcome.
today.
Thank
Colin
you.
Murdoch, Chief Business Officer, Google DeepMind. Ed, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Yeah, fascinating. AI developed in the lab and then taken out to commercialize with partners. Colin Murdoch, Google DeepMind, Chief Business Officer, and of course BNN's John Ehrlichman out there in Toronto. Thanks to you both. Now, coming up, Microsoft's deal with Activision Blizzard could deliver a blow to PlayStation gamers, that according to Sony. All that and more. This is Bloomberg. Time for talking tech. First up, Samsung, amping up its chip foundry business by advancing its manufacturing techniques. The South Korean company said it will introduce a 2-nanometer production for mobile phone parts by 2025 and expand its applications. Plus, Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard could deliver a blow to Sony's PlayStation gamers. That's according to a Sony executive testimony in federal court, where they said the deal would give PlayStation gamers a degraded experience. The case represents a major test for the FTC's ability to block big tech deals. And bankrupt cryptocurrency exchange FTX has abruptly stopped the sale of one of its most sought-after assets, a stake in the AI startup Anthropic. The halt came after several months during which multiple potential buyers assessed private information about the Anthropic stake. Let's get more on this story and bring in Bloomberg's Yuqi Yang out in New York. What are the full picture of the details, Yuqi?
So as we know, ever since FTX filed for bankruptcy last year, the new leadership of FTX has one main goal, which is to recover as much value as possible for creditors. And there are multiple ways of achieving that, one of which is through asset sale. And we know that FTX bankers had earlier started a process to sell FTX one of the most biggest investment portfolio, which is a stake, internally valued at $500 million by FTX, in Anthropic, which is one of now the hottest AI startups. So we know that the process had begun earlier, but then at some point this month, the bankers decided to abruptly stop the process. And there's no explanation given, but then we know that everything that they do is in the overall goal of trying to maximize value for creditors. And at the backdrop of that, the valuation for a lot of AI startups has increased this year, as AI and ChatGPT become more popular.
So, Yuchi, a pretty reasonable question is why a crypto exchange would invest money in an AI startup in the first place?
That's a great question. If you look at the portfolio that Sam Bankman-Fried has built up before his firm collapsed, they actually invested in a variety of startups across different sectors. We reported that mining is a sector that they had bet big in, and then AI is another sector that they have also made multiple stakes. And of course, they also invested in plenty of crypto and blockchain startups. But I think that the one asset that has become more popular and sought after now is really their stake in AI.
We had Amy Wu on, formerly the head of FTX Ventures, quite recently. She's now at Menlo, focused more on the consumer and gaming side. But it reminded us that FTX was deploying capital, investing in technologies from a bigger picture perspective. With Anthropic, what do we think is going to happen next? I mean, they've put this on hold, but is the long-term goal to still divest or sell off the stake?
So that's yet to be seen. We know that FTX has also been looking into potentially restarting the international exchange. So there are multiple moving parts here, and we've reported that there are parties that are interested in bidding for a potential restart of the FTX exchange. So going back to the Anthropic stake, I don't think the story ends here, and I'm sure there will be more actions on how to deal with that particular stake.
Bloomberg's Yuchi Yang will keep us up to date with the latest Bloomberg reporting on that. Thank you so much for your time. Now, coming up, we're going to bring you an exclusive interview with the CEO of aviation company Joby as they receive an expanded regulatory approval to test prototype production units. This is going to be interesting because look at the shares and where we're trading right now. They are absolutely surging. We're now up 41%. Don't rub your eyes. You're seeing that. 41% in Wednesday's session. This move kind of coming out of nowhere. Let's find out why next. This is Bloomberg Technology. Welcome back to Bloomberg Technology. Ed Ludlow here in San Francisco. Let's check the markets quickly. Technology is a part of the story. NASDAQ 100 modestly higher, 0.2%. Some outperformance. We had all the great leaders of world central banks in one place. But kind of the main takeaway, Jay Powell, Fed chair, saying that actually a recession in the United States is one of the least likely scenarios, and that is pushing tech higher. Some underperformance, though, in chip stocks. We talked about this earlier in Bloomberg Technology, right? The Wall Street Journal reports that the US is going to tighten restrictions on the export of chips to China, that impacting Nvidia, one of the names moving to the downside. We're softer by 0.7% on the stocks. And a quick check on Bitcoin, one of our favorite risk assets. We are now sort of heading lower, 1% lower on Bitcoin, $30,300 per token. We had seen some buoyancy in recent days tied to the momentum around ETFs, a filing from BlackRock, a reported filing from Fidelity. Now, if there is one name in the technology sector that we are monitoring very closely, it is Joby Aviation, maker of flying taxis. We're up 40% right now. We are very close to the biggest gain on record, depending on where we close. We need to find out why. So joining us for an exclusive interview is Joby's CEO, JoeBen Bevitt, down in Central Cal, Marina, California. JoeBen, the news, you've received FAA certification to air test, fly, basically what are units and production units flying off the production line. How big a moment is this for your company?
First, Ed, thank you so much. Good morning. Wonderful to be with you. This is a huge moment. The the Joby team has been working really, really hard, and we've been flying prototypes of our aircraft since 2017, full-scale prototypes. But this is the first time that an aircraft that's come off our pilot manufacturing line has received certification from the FAA to begin flight test. And this is a pivotal moment. As you can see, I'm standing here at our pilot manufacturing line. And not only do we have the first one coming off the line, but we've got multiple coming along behind us.
Okay, so give me some numbers. How many do you think you will build in the remainder of 2023, and how many in 2024?
So we're still in the crawl phase of this journey. This pilot manufacturing line here has the potential to build a few tens of aircraft per year. So this is just a first step of a really exciting journey. Another piece that we're announcing today is that President and CEO of Toyota North America, Ted Ogawa, is joining the Joby board. And this is Toyota joined as our largest external investor in 2019, and they've been continuing to lean in. We've got Toyota team members both working shoulder to shoulder with our team here in California, as well as team members in Japan from Toyota's flying mobility team that are really leaning into this new sector. Toyota North America produced 1.7 million cars last year, and generated more than $100 billion in revenue. It is just amazing to have Ogawa-san joining our board, and he's actually here in Marina with us today for our rollout of this aircraft.
Outline the curve for me of this production line. We're calling it a pilot line. When does it become sort of serial production? Saleable units beyond your existing deal with the military, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah, so we are working with states across the country to put support packages together, and we're going to be selecting a site for our phase one manufacturing, which will give us the capacity to build hundreds of aircraft per year in the next few months. And so that will mark a really important step as we scale. But even before we can go into volume production, we need certification with the FAA. And yesterday we had 80 members from both the DOT, the DOE, the NASA, and the FAA that came to visit us here in Marina to see the progress that we're making on our manufacturing facility, and also they're really leaning in. 2 weeks ago, I was with global regulators in Cologne, Germany, with the EASA, with the FAA, with folks from the JCAB in Japan, and the CA in the UK, regulators from around the world that are really leaning in on this new technology.
JoeBen, every time an executive like you comes on the show, I go to Twitter and I say, JoeBen's coming on the show. What would you ask? And lots of people have a very reasonable question. For the average Twitter user, when will they be able to get into a Joby aircraft that has nothing to do with the military, that kind of meets your goals of a broader flying taxi service?
So our target is to launch our commercial service here in the U.S. in 2025. We have an amazing partnership with the team at Delta Airlines, and that recently I've had the opportunity to go to JFK, LaGuardia, and LAX, where Delta has invested more than $10 billion in terminals, to look with the Delta team at where we're going to site the takeoff and landing locations for these aircraft to deliver the really spectacular customer experience that we want to deliver to Delta customers, where you can step off of your Joby air taxi and onto your Delta flight as seamlessly as possible.
Yes. JoeBen, the stock's up 40%. What do you make of that?
The stocks go up, stocks go down. What the team here at Joby is laser focused on is doing what we do best, which is delivering. That's exactly what we're doing today. We are rolling our first aircraft off the manufacturing line. We've got the certificate of airworthiness from the FAA to begin flight testing this aircraft, and we're super excited about taking this aircraft to Edwards Air Force Base in California to begin testing with the DoD. And that is a just spectacular opportunity for us to begin building the operational muscle and begin moving goods and people around military air bases before we have our FA certification.
So the deliveries to the military, the Air Force, starting in 2024. A lot of questions I get for you are about business model. You think about New York City as an example. You can take a helicopter ride for around $200. How are you going to price a service in the future? How do you get competitive with basically what already exists, which is a helicopter with a pilot?
Yeah, so our goal is to actually be competitive with the cost of ground transportation, but to deliver you to your destination multiple times faster, 5 times faster, and with a dramatically better experience. Being able to see these beautiful cities like New York from the air is an amazing way to start your day.
Joby Aviation founder, CEO Joe Ben-Bevitt, thank you so much for your time. That stock up almost 40% in this morning's session following that news. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to see you.
Now, coming up, we're talking about a new product using AI to travel this time with Priceline CEO Brett Keller. This is Bloomberg Technology. Priceline unveiling a new product using AI to help make summer travel plans easier. The online travel agency launching Trip Intelligence, a suite with over 40 new booking tools, one of which includes Penny, Priceline's proprietary generative AI chatbot. Let's bring in Priceline CEO Brett Keller for more. Brett, tell me about Penny. What's it like using Penny?
Sure. Well, Penny is a very specific and trained chat model based on the hotel booking experience. So as you come into Priceline and you begin shopping for a hotel, we have built a tool which will help you to answer all of the types of questions you might have about your booking experience. You know, if you want to know something about the hotel and what's nearby, right? If you're looking for a walking path, a running path, vegan food, it can answer many of the questions that historically have been difficult to track down quickly and easily. And so now you can do that right within the booking experience, real time, as you're booking your hotel. It can also answer questions about the room you're staying in, about the cancellation policies, many of the things that would require a lot more research and due diligence to understand. And so this tool, we believe, will make it much easier for customers to come in and have a great booking experience to get the answers they need.
We're showing images on the screen of how Penny works and the experience of using it. I guess the next question is why? Why did you feel you needed to do this?
Well, customers always have more and more questions about travel, and things are becoming more complex. Take a trip overseas, right? Consumers are more and more looking to travel to new locations, places they've never been before. They don't know anything about the area. They don't know anything about the hotel that they're staying in. And this gives the consumer much broader access to information real time to answer questions. And so that's the primary motivation, is to give the consumer more intel on their stay and answer the questions that are specific and unique to them. If you're traveling with a family, that's a very different experience that you're looking for than if you're traveling for business or for some other purpose. And this just opens up the horizon of what we can tell you as a user. In addition, it will also help consumers book more easily. So within the chat bot itself, you can actually finish the transaction. So when you're ready to book, we'll actually populate the forms right within the chat module. You can quickly add your information and book securely using our tokenized payment mechanism to get you in and out quickly with your transaction.
Brett, what kind of advantage do you feel this gives you? It is right around the corner from summer, but a challenging macro environment. You think about Airbnb and what they're doing to improve the UX experience on their platform, both app and website, the integration of AI. It's all about winning eyeballs and converting them into bookings. Do you think that Penny is going to help you do that?
we do think it will help us to do that, along with all of the other features we've just released and many more to come on our new tech platform. We've been in the hotel accommodations business for 25 years. We invented many of the innovative ways for people to save money on this platform. This new technology laid on top of that access to really great pricing now just makes it, I think, more compelling, especially in the hotel accommodation space, which is one of our specialties.
Priceline CEO Brett Keller talking about Penny, the new generative AI tool. Thank you so much for your time. All right, next we're going to talk about video games, in particular esports, and why not artificial intelligence as well, with Evil Genius's CEO Nicole LaPointe-Jameson. That's next. This is Bloomberg Technology. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella due in court today to defend the company's proposed $69 billion takeover of Activision Blizzard against an attempt by federal regulators to block the deal. Bloomberg's Malathi Nayak joins us from the courtroom. Malathi, what's the latest?
So today it's a big day for Microsoft. They've brought in Activision CEO Bobby Kotick, who was just at the stand a few minutes ago when I stepped out of the courtroom, and Satya Nadella will be testifying in the afternoon. So they've brought their executives to come out here and defend this deal and try to push back against the FTC's argument that the deal isn't good for competition in the console gaming market.
How key is this case? Is this an everything or nothing situation where if the companies can't convince the court, the FTC will be able to block the deal?
So the FTC currently is seeking an injunction that would block the deal while its legal challenge to the deal is pending. So this would be sort of the first step, and this would actually get in the way of the July 18th closure deadline that the deal has. So Microsoft really wants to get this done as soon as possible. They need to win this first hurdle, which basically would allow them to at least go ahead and close the deal, if possible, next month. So right now, they're trying to push back against an injunction or a ruling from the judge that would just put the deal on hold, just pause it while the FTC's challenge is pending.
Bloomberg's Malathi Nayak, thank you so much from the courtroom in San Francisco. Let's stick with gaming, video games, keep the conversation going with a wider look at the esports landscape with Evil Genius's CEO, Nicole LaPointe-Jameson, who's joining me from New York. Everyone that watches Bloomberg Technology knows we go big on gaming, but esports is at a really interesting moment. Talk to me about how you see your industry right now, the health of it.
Yes, Ed, thanks for having me. Esports is at a really interesting intersection right now, as we've always been a digital product that bridges and straddles sports and entertainment. But now with more eyes on advanced technologies like AI and sports analytics and all the derivatives of such, we're really seeing the professionalization as well as the awareness of esports as a product at a rate that hasn't been seen before. So the growth and headwinds that we're experiencing, especially post-pandemic, where gaming and esports events and live events in person are becoming more and more commonplace, it's an exciting time to be part of the community.
It's also interesting to talk about the content side of this story. And when you think about Evil Geniuses, you think about YouTube or Twitch. A lot of what you're doing is going out there for free. So how are you going to make some money and take that free content and turn it into merchandising or other ways of building revenue streams?
Yes, this is the existential rub of esports organizations like ourselves, where we are content machines, billions of minutes a year of produced content, whether it's in-game athletics, competition moments, to behind-the-scenes social engagement. And we know we have the eyes and hearts of especially Gen Z and Gen Alpha audiences. EG on its own can eclipse over 20 million views on our third-party platforms itself. But how we find and face the media rights ownership and distribution that is not as professionalized as you see in traditional sports, bridging with that entertainment of, okay, there's YouTube and Twitch. What's interesting right now is that we're seeing that traditional linear media, whether it's movies and cinemas, in-person events, these moments where other people who are hungry for content for that audience are looking and creating new ways to bring in that gaming community, which has trickle-down effects on revenue. A very public example that just went out, right? XQC, a big gaming streamer, signing with Kick, a Twitch competitor, for a $100 million 2-year deal. That's bigger than many traditional sports athletes' rights to a team. And so if you continue to look at how brands are aware that the gaming content and community is valuable and their purchasing power is increasing, we're hoping the competition and thus the media rights values will continue to increase as time goes on.
We're just showing some interesting data about your user base, your audience. 64% aged 18 to 34. So take that demographic. Who are you competing with? Other players in the space or other forms of content? Like, are you also competing directly with Twitch, as an example?
I wouldn't say we're direct competitors of a Twitch or a YouTube because we leverage those platforms to engage and reach in our community. Esports organizations in particular, we're more of the platform. Think of us, if you're very unfamiliar, as the actual athletic team that creates the competitive moments. But the hub and spoke model of our community, including media distribution like Twitch, helps us. But we do have to still diversify and figure out how we stand apart from not only our other competitors in the space of how is our content and thus our audience differentiated, but then we also compete against traditional sports and media, traditional pop culture, music and fashion. Gen Z has spoken, and gaming is a staple of their culture, and continuing to create that evergreen, understood moment for brand and capital allocators that is also true is important for us.
Nicole, how difficult is your day job right now? Think about the news in April about the roster changes. I think you guys have done a few rounds of layoffs this year as well. How's running that business?
Yes. Esports continuing from the sports monetization model, transforming into more of that entertainment. We, just like many other businesses in tech and advertising, the macroeconomic climate earlier this year was hard, as traditional sponsorship sales is much of our current revenue stream. It required us to be really judicious and pivot on our feet quickly around what is valuable inventory, what is the valuable market rate of talent, and much of what we had to do was course correct to the macroeconomic market. The good news is, though, with these adjustments and reductions, we've also been able to find really good headwinds and really double down on what makes our brand differentiated and strong in this space. As you shared with the stats earlier, EG is a leader in gaming around inclusion with women, with the LGBTQ community, with the BIPOC community. And those values and affinities, despite the macroeconomic sponsorship challenges, still resonate with advertisers and brands to engage with the Gen Z community through our platform and what we have. So I'm grateful to an amazing team behind me to help us stay robust and continue through many technology and economic changes.
Nicole, quickly, what is the one thing to your mind that's going to put some energy back into esports?
That's going to put,
some energy, some momentum back into this industry.
Back into the industry. I would say there's so much energy in esports right now. When you look at TikTok, where 40 billion views of gaming-related content month over month consistently, in-person arenas selling out for events. Last year, League of Legends had a North American roadshow culminating in Chase Center in San Francisco, selling out. I think what will continue to drive energy is more multi-generational audiences being aware of this is the power of gaming, and gaming is here to stay.
Evil Geniuses CEO Nicole LaPointe-Jameson, so good to catch up.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you for your time. All right, so that does it for this edition of Bloomberg Technology. A lot to recap. Gosh, it's been a busy week so far. Don't forget the podcast then, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and of course, on all of the Bloomberg platforms. Some really big moves discussed during this show. Keep an eye on Joby, on track potentially for its biggest jump on record, all things flying taxi. A story we're going to keep following this week is, of course, what's happening in the chip sector, but so much more still to come. From San Francisco, this is Bloomberg Technology.